The void of space stretched endlessly, dark and silent, a place where even the faintest light seemed to shiver. Among the countless stars, a colossal human warship drifted like a shadow carved from night itself. Its hull was black as obsidian, streaked with scars from countless battles, yet it moved with a quiet precision that suggested purpose, discipline, and hidden strength. To any observer, it was both awe-inspiring and unnerving, a leviathan of war traveling through the emptiness with a silent authority. In a far corner of the galaxy, a scouting vessel approached cautiously. Its occupants, a species known as the Zethurians, were masters of calculation and observation. Their eyes, sharp and multifaceted, absorbed the faintest pulses of energy, the smallest hints of life. They had seen many civilizations, but the readings coming from this human ship unsettled them. Something about it did not fit the patterns they had catalogued over centuries. It was unpredictable. Xyler, the leader of the Zethurian scouts, leaned closer to the observation panel. He was tall and lean, with skin that shimmered faintly in the dim glow of his vessel's instruments. His antennae twitched as he processed the readings, and his voice, calm yet tense, broke the quiet. "Report," he said, though he already knew what the instruments were telling him. One of the junior observers, nervously tapping at a console, replied, "The ship's structure is unlike anything we've seen. The hull is heavily reinforced, yet it seems almost alive. Energy pulses are erratic. Its internal systems are complex, emotional." "Explain." He leaned forward, scanning the human vessel with all the tools at his disposal. And then he saw it. A fleeting figure appeared on the main observation panel of the ship. It was humanoid, with eyes that seemed to pierce through the cold void. A woman, her expression unreadable yet commanding, stared directly at them as if aware of their presence. Xyler's circuits almost buzzed with alarm. Human biology was simple, predictable, yet she seemed different. Alive, aware, and somehow aware of him. "Captain," a voice called behind him. It was sharp, questioning, almost fearful. "Did you see that?" They had encountered military vessels before, but nothing like this. The human ship radiated an aura that could not be measured in energy signatures alone. There was strategy, intent, and something deeper, something that resembled fear and courage intertwined. Inside the human vessel, Captain Alara Kane stood on the bridge, her hands lightly resting on the polished console. She felt a presence, an awareness that was not from her crew, not from the ship itself. It was strange and distant, yet intimate, like a whisper brushing the edges of her mind. Alara frowned, her sharp eyes narrowing. "We are not alone," she murmured to herself. Her crew, trained for countless battles and skirmishes, did not notice the slight tremor in her voice. But she knew. She always knew. Alara's connection to the ship was unique. Through the neural interface implanted in her spine, she could sense every movement, every heartbeat, every thought that had passed through the vessel. The ship was not merely metal and circuitry. It was alive with the memories of its crew, past and present. It remembered their victories, their sacrifices, and their losses. And now it was reacting to the presence of the aliens in ways she could not yet understand. Back on the Zethurian scout ship, Xyler instructed his crew to initiate a deeper scan. "Do it carefully," he ordered. "We must understand, but we must not provoke it." Images and data flooded the monitors. Battlefields of distant planets, explosions, the faces of fallen humans frozen in moments of bravery, fear, and hope. Each memory struck the aliens with an intensity they had never experienced. The humans were fearless, reckless, and terrifying. But more than that, they were beautiful in their resilience, in the way they faced death without hesitation. Xyler felt a strange stirring in his core, an emotion he did not recognize. The readings were not just data, they were feelings. He saw a soldier shielding a comrade, a commander making a devastating choice to save civilians, a child left behind in the chaos of war. The aliens had never known such raw, unfiltered emotion expressed in acts of courage. It was intoxicating. "Commander," one of the junior scouts whispered, I think the ship is reacting to us." But even as he spoke, he felt the truth in his circuits. The ship was alive, not biologically, but in a way that surpassed biology. It had a soul, forged from pain, courage, and determination. Inside the human ship, Alara felt a sudden tightening in her chest, a sensation that had no explanation in logic or training. She closed her eyes and focused, reaching out through the neural interface, sensing the intruder's mind. A ripple of awareness touched hers, cold yet oddly familiar. She did not know who they were, but she felt their fear and their fascination. The warship, as if understanding the gravity of the encounter, shivered in the silence of space. Systems that had long been dormant activated in a coordinated hum. Lights glowed along the hull, and faint vibrations ran through the metal floors of the bridge. Ilara's eyes opened, and she spoke softly, almost as if to the ship itself. The humans were not attacking, they were warning. And yet the warning carried power, presence, and a threat that no weapon could measure. He realized that these humans were not to be underestimated. They were predators and prey all at once, with an instinct and resilience that made the aliens' careful plan seem fragile. "We proceed with caution," Xyler said, "but we must know more. If these humans are like this, if their vessel holds such strength, we need to understand their capacity for everything." And none could deny the strange pull that tugged at their consciousness, the pull of something alive, something that was not meant to be fully understood. As the alien ship hovered at a distance, the human warship drifted silently, indifferent to the stars that surrounded it. Yet within the shadows of its metal corridors, and in the pulse of its neural core, something ancient and vigilant stirred. It had seen the galaxy, it had carried the memories of countless souls, and now it had sensed a new presence. Ilara moved to the edge of the bridge, staring out into the endless black. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, reflected both the stars and the alien vessel. Somewhere deep in the ship, a memory of a fallen comrade whispered, "We survive because we remember, and we fight because we feel." He realized that he was not simply observing a warship. He was witnessing a force that defied understanding. These humans were not merely fighters. They were living legacies, terrifying and magnificent in ways that no scanner could fully capture. And then, without warning, a flicker ran across the human ship's observation panel. The figure of the captain, sharp and commanding, turned and looked directly at him, not through the eyes of the scanner, but through some deeper, more profound awareness. In that moment, Xyler felt something alien stir within him, a mixture of fear, respect, and an unexplainable connection. He realized with a chill that ran deeper than any cold vacuum that this encounter was only the beginning. The human warship had noticed them. It had felt them, and whatever came next would not be simple. Because in the silent expanse of space, the warship waited, and the watchers had already begun to wonder if they were the prey or something far more dangerous. The stars blinked coldly around them, indifferent to the tension, but in that vast emptiness, a story had begun, a story of fear, courage, and a connection that neither human nor alien could yet comprehend. And somewhere deep in the heart of the warship, a single thought echoed, "They are here. Let them see. Let them understand. Let them feel." The void waited. And the watchers knew that nothing would ever be the same. The human warship drifted like a shadow through the endless void, its black hull absorbing the faint glimmers of distant stars. Every scar along its surface told a story, battles survived, losses mourned, victories earned. To the Zethurian scouts hovering at a cautious distance, it was a living enigma, a force that defied understanding. Xyler studied the warship with unwavering focus. His antennae twitched nervously as he processed the readings. The initial scan had revealed more than he anticipated. The ship was not merely a vessel. It was a repository of human memory, a storehouse of courage and pain, etched into its very core. Each energy pulse, each mechanical hum carried emotion, something the Zethurians had never encountered before. "Captain," one of his scouts said, voice trembling slightly, "the ship, it's reacting to our scans, not with aggression, but with awareness, something alive." And yet there is more. These humans, they are not predictable. Their thoughts, their memories, they are raw, unfiltered, powerful. He had studied many civilizations, many species, yet he had never encountered such a phenomenon. Awareness beyond the senses, beyond physical presence, reaching through the void to touch another mind, this was something he could not compute. "Show me," he commanded. The scout widened the display. Images appeared, fragmented, flickering glimpses of memories. Human soldiers charging into firestorms, explosions rocking planets, comrades protecting each other to the very end. But amidst the chaos, there were moments of quiet intimacy. A smile shared between two soldiers before battle, a whispered promise, a letter written in secrecy. Every memory radiated something profound, fear, courage, loss, love, all intertwined, inseparable. Xyler felt a pulse in his consciousness, a vibration that was neither mechanical nor biological. It was as if the memories themselves were alive, reacting to his observation. He realized with growing alarm that the warship was more than a machine. It was a witness, a chronicler, a participant. Meanwhile, on the human ship, Captain Ilara Kane paced lightly across the bridge. She felt it again, the subtle intrusion, the presence of another mind brushing against her own. It was not threatening, not yet, but it was there, probing, curious, fascinated. She paused, resting a hand on the console. "I know you are there," she said softly, almost to herself. "I can feel you." But Alara's eyes were fixed on the observation screens, searching for something they could not see. She did not know who or what it was, but she sensed intention, intelligence, even emotion. The human ship thrummed gently beneath her feet, as if acknowledging her words. Back in the Zethurian ship, Xyler felt the strange pull intensify. The memories he observed were no longer static, they interacted with him. He saw the death of a young soldier in vivid detail, felt the fear, the courage, the last thought of someone who had given everything to protect another. His antennae twitched violently, and his circuits buzzed with an emotion he could not name. "Captain," a junior scout whispered, I think I understand now. These humans, they fight not just with weapons, they fight with their souls." The human warship shifted slightly, almost imperceptibly, as if sensing the scrutiny. Inside, Alara extended her awareness, feeling the alien consciousness probing her mind. It was cautious, respectful, curious. And yet there was fear. She smiled faintly. "You are curious," she whispered to the presence. "You do not understand us yet. But you will. Not by weapons, but by what we feel." The memories continued to flicker across the display. Human victories, defeats, moments of quiet courage, moments of devastating loss. And in the midst of these memories, Alara herself appeared, standing firm amidst chaos, her gaze unwavering. Xyler could not look away. He felt a connection, subtle but undeniable, that went beyond reason or instinct. It was a connection to the will of the humans, their resilience, their capacity to feel and endure. "Report," he said, voice steady despite the storm of thoughts in his mind. The scout swallowed. "Sir, the captain, I can feel her, not physically, not through the sensors, but in my mind. She is aware of us, and she is not afraid." That was impossible. Every species he had studied feared the unknown, feared the powerful. But humans were different. They did not merely survive, they embraced the challenge, confronted it, and sometimes transcended it. Inside the human warship, Alara sensed the alien hesitation. She understood instinctively that they were not hostile, not yet. She allowed herself a brief moment of curiosity. She focused, reaching out through the ship's neural network, feeling for the alien presence. It was cautious, probing, careful. And yet there was intelligence. There was awareness. She smiled faintly, knowing that this contact, however tentative, was the beginning of something extraordinary. Xyler on his ship made a decision. He directed the sensors to probe deeper, to reach into the memories themselves. The images became more vivid. A battlefield strewn with the fallen, a soldier cradling a comrade's body, a captain making impossible choices to save civilians. And through it all, the humans continued to fight, to endure, to survive. He realized, with a mix of awe and fear, that the human strength was not just in their weapons or tactics. It was in their capacity to feel, to care, to sacrifice. They were terrifying because they were unpredictable. They were magnificent because they were alive in ways the Zethurians could scarcely comprehend. "Sir," the scout whispered again, voice tight with wonder. I think we are being understood. The ship is responding. Not aggressively, but emotionally. It knows we are here, it feels us." He leaned closer to the console. "Prepare for closer observation," he ordered. "But maintain caution. This is not a simple reconnaissance. We are witnessing a force beyond comprehension, and we must not provoke it, yet we must learn from it." The lights along the hull flickered in a gentle rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Alara moved to the edge of the bridge, staring out into the vast blackness. She could feel the alien minds watching, probing, curious, and she was curious in return. "We are not enemies," she whispered to the void. "But we are observers of one another. Let them see who we are. Let them feel what we feel." It had become a meeting of minds, a crossing of boundaries, a moment where fear, awe, and understanding intertwined. The stars blinked silently around them, indifferent to the unfolding drama. Yet in the silence of space, a story had begun, a story of courage, of memory, of connection, and of a force that neither human nor alien could yet fully grasp. The warship waited. The watchers waited. And somewhere deep within the neural core of the vessel, a single thought echoed, "They are here. Let them see. Let them understand. Let them feel." The void, infinite and dark, bore witness to the silent exchange. And both human and alien realized that nothing would ever be the same. The void of space stretched endlessly, silent yet alive with hidden energy. Stars glimmered faintly against the black canvas. indifferent to the drama unfolding between two minds separated by light years, but bound by curiosity and fear. The Zithurian scouts continued to hover near the human warship, their vessels dwarfed by the enormity of the ship they observed. It was more than metal and machinery. It was history, memory, and raw emotion forged into a living monument of humanity's resilience. Xyler sat in his observation chamber, antennae trembling slightly as he reviewed the latest scans. The warship's responses had grown more vivid, almost conscious. Every system hummed with awareness, and the memories that flickered across the display were more intense than before. He leaned closer to the console, watching a sequence unfold. A battlefield where human soldiers moved with precise coordination, protecting one another against overwhelming odds. Explosions rocked the terrain, but the humans persisted, refusing to yield. The images were violent, yes, but beneath the chaos ran threads of care, loyalty, and bravery. "They are extraordinary," muttered one of the junior scouts. "Not just strong, not just smart, but alive, truly alive." Captain Alara Kane stood amid the chaos, issuing orders calmly, every action deliberate, every choice weighted with responsibility. She did not fight only with weapons. She fought with her mind, with her heart, with every memory and emotion she had ever carried. "She is aware of us," Xyler whispered, his voice barely audible. "She knows we are here. And she senses us." Their warship was not merely responding. It was engaging, almost communicating, and through it, Alara herself was reaching across the void. Inside the human vessel, Alara's senses tingled. The intrusion had grown stronger, a subtle pulse of thought brushing against her consciousness. She did not fear it. Instead, a quiet curiosity stirred. Slowly, carefully, she extended her awareness, probing for the presence beyond the stars. It was not hostile, not yet. There was intelligence there, a careful deliberation. But there was also fear, confusion, and something else, something unfamiliar and stirring. "You are hesitant," she whispered softly, her voice carrying through the neural interface. "I can feel your thoughts. You are observing and wondering." Systems glowed with faint pulses like the heartbeat of a living being. Memories of fallen crew members, of victories and losses flickered across Xyler's screens, and within these memories, Alara moved like a shadow of command and purpose. "She is not merely human," one of the scouts muttered. "She is something more, a focal point, a guide." He realized with a chilling clarity that Alara was both leader and vessel. Her mind intertwined with the ship's neural core, drawing strength from every memory, every act of courage stored within its circuits. The human's power was not in weapons alone. It was in the will, the memory, the soul of every life connected to the ship. "Prepare for closer observation," Xyler commanded, his voice steady despite the growing tension. "But do not intrude aggressively. We are learning something unprecedented. Every step must be measured." As the Zithurians edged closer, the human ship shifted subtly, responding to their presence. Inside, Alara allowed herself a brief smile. The aliens were cautious. They had not yet understood her, yet they were drawn into the web she and her ship wove together, a web of history, courage, and memory. "You are curious," she murmured, focusing her mind on the unknown observers. "You wish to understand us, but understanding comes with risk. Are you willing to risk yourself to see what lies beyond your logic?" The humans were no longer simply objects of observation. They were mirrors reflecting something deep within him, stirring thoughts and emotions he had never felt. "Sir," whispered a scout, I feel their courage, their pain, their losses, and yet their hope. I cannot look away." This is not merely a lesson in observation. This is a challenge, a test of our own understanding of life, of courage, of connection. And beneath it all, he sensed the unspoken thought: we endure, we survive, we fight because we care. The Zithurians were silent. They had never experienced anything like this. Their species had mastered countless forms of technology and strategy, but nothing had ever touched them like the memory of a single human life, let alone the collective essence of an entire vessel. Inside the human warship, Alara felt a subtle shift in the alien presence. They were no longer merely observing. They were trying to connect, to understand, to bridge the gap between species. A strange bond formed, tenuous yet undeniable, linking human and alien across the vast emptiness of space. "You are cautious," Alara whispered again, "and rightly so, but we do not attack unless threatened. We endure, we resist, we live, and now you are part of this moment. Choose wisely." The human's power lay not in destruction, but in endurance, in the ability to project courage and memory across unimaginable distances. "Sir," one of the scouts said hesitantly. I feel empathy, something alien, something beyond our design. The humans, they make us feel, and I do not know if this is safe. Safety was no longer a question of shields or weapons. The human strength was in their essence, in their capacity to endure, to feel, to project their will. And through that will, Xyler felt something impossible: respect, awe, and a strange longing. The warship pulsed once more, responding to the observation. A wave of memories streamed across the screens, victories celebrated, losses mourned, quiet moments of camaraderie, acts of courage that defied logic. And through it all, the figure of Captain Alara Kane moved with calm authority, a living nexus of the ship's history and its strength. Xyler realized then that the human ship was more than a vessel. It was a living chronicle, a testament to humanity's resilience, a force that transcended the boundaries of metal and energy. And in that realization, he felt the stirrings of something he had never known: admiration for a species that could endure so much, and an unexplainable connection to the mind that commanded it. Inside the warship, Alara felt the alien mind probing further, tentatively, delicately. She allowed it, sensing that they were not hostile, only curious. A bridge of understanding began to form, fragile and tentative, linking her thoughts to Xyler's. You seek to understand us, she said softly. Do you also seek to understand yourself? To understand what courage, hope, and sacrifice mean beyond the limits of your logic. The stars twinkled coldly around them, but inside that silent exchange, something new had begun. A story of fear, courage, memory, and connection was unfolding, a story neither species fully understood, yet both were now part of. The human warship pulsed again, a gentle, steady rhythm. Alara's gaze was fixed on the distant alien vessels. You are here, she whispered, and now we know each other. But the true test has only just begun. The void waited, silent and infinite, as the humans and aliens began their first true understanding of one another. And somewhere deep within the neural core of the human warship, a single thought pulsed like a heartbeat. We are not alone. And now neither are you. The void of space stretched endlessly, a silent ocean of black, dotted with distant, cold stars. Yet within the darkness, the human warship moved with a quiet grace, alive not only with metal and machinery, but with the memories of countless souls. Each pulse from its core carried fragments of life, moments of courage, whispers of fear, and the unyielding strength of humanity. To an outside observer, it might have seemed merely a vessel. But to those who watched closely, it was a living monument, a story told in light, energy, and memory. Xyler floated in the observation chamber of his scout vessel, antennae trembling with both anticipation and uncertainty. The connection to the human ship was growing stronger, more vivid. Through the neural interface embedded in its core, Captain Alara Kane's thoughts and memories intertwined with the pulse of the ship, creating a rhythm that Xyler could almost sense with every scan. They are different, one of the junior scouts whispered, eyes wide as they observed the vivid projections of human memory across their display. Every thought, every memory, it's alive. And she is guiding it. Courage, sorrow, hope, determination, all intertwined, forming a presence that was impossible to ignore. She senses us, Xyler said quietly. And yet she does not fear. She challenges us with her mind, with her presence. We are being tested. And she is reaching through the void to touch our thoughts. You are cautious, she murmured softly. And rightly so. You do not yet understand the cost of seeing what we see, of feeling what we feel. But I can show you if you are willing to look. He realized that this encounter was no longer merely about observation. It was about understanding, about connection, about the unspoken bond forming across the void between human and alien. Prepare for deeper synchronization, Xyler commanded his crew, though his voice was steadier than he felt. We must proceed carefully. We are about to touch something unprecedented. The warship pulsed again, a gentle vibration that reverberated through the void. Alara's presence was now unmistakably intertwined with the ship's memory core. Each beat carried fragments of human history, acts of bravery, sacrifices, victories, and losses that had been etched into the vessel over decades. Xyler felt the weight of it all, the joy, the sorrow, the relentless drive to endure. This is extraordinary, the junior scout whispered, eyes glued to the display. We are witnessing history, but it is alive, and she is alive with it. But with each passing moment, the connection grew stronger, more tangible. He felt a mix of awe and fear, admiration and hesitation that he could not fully comprehend. Inside the human vessel, Alara allowed herself a moment of reflection. She could feel the alien mind probing gently, seeking understanding, testing boundaries. And she realized that this was not merely observation, it was an exchange. For the first time in her career, she encountered a species that did not rely solely on weapons or strategy. They sought understanding, and she could meet them on that level. "You are capable of understanding," she whispered, letting the words carry across the neural link. "But you must open yourselves fully. Fear blinds you, curiosity enlightens you." The warship pulsed once more, and Xyler could see the memories unfold like a tapestry across his display. He witnessed a soldier cradling a fallen comrade, a captain making an impossible choice to save civilians while risking her own life, quiet moments of camaraderie between crewmates amidst chaos. Each memory carried not only the weight of experience but the intensity of feeling, and Xyler realized that the humans' greatest weapon was not technology or firepower. It was their capacity to endure, to hope, and to care. "She is showing us," the junior scout whispered, voice trembling with awe. "Not just who they are, but what they carry. Their strength, it is in their hearts, not their weapons." For the first time, Xyler felt the weight of emotion in a way he could not rationalize. Fear, admiration, curiosity, and something that resembled longing all swirled together. He understood then that this encounter had become something more than observation. It was a meeting of minds, a crossing of boundaries, a silent dialogue carried not in words but in thought and feeling. Alara, sensing the depth of the connection, allowed herself to focus more intently. She projected memories carefully, not overwhelming, but enough to communicate the essence of humanity: courage, resilience, loyalty, and the unyielding desire to survive and protect others. She felt Xyler responding, his hesitation and awe evident, yet there was also a willingness to reach further, to understand, to bridge the gap between their species. "You feel it," she said softly, though her words were carried not through sound but through thought. "You sense the strength that comes from connection, from memory, from courage. You are beginning to see the truth of who we are." And Alara Kane, as its captain, was the focal point of that strength, guiding it, shaping it, projecting it across the void. The scouts watched silently, captivated, as the interaction continued. They had never experienced anything like this. The humans were more than their technology or strategy. They were living stories, memories made tangible, courage made visible. And the captain herself was the living embodiment of those stories. Alara's presence pulsed through the neural network, gentle yet insistent. She allowed Xyler to feel not only the memories of battles and losses, but the quiet moments of hope and perseverance, the small victories that often went unnoticed. She showed him that strength was not measured only in victory, but in the will to endure, in the compassion extended to others, in the courage to continue despite fear and uncertainty. Xyler absorbed it all, antennae trembling, circuits humming with an unfamiliar resonance. He felt the weight of centuries of human history, the brilliance of their courage, and the subtle, unspoken bond forming between them. The connection was fragile, tentative, yet undeniable, a bridge of understanding across species, a dance of shadows and stars. And then, without warning, the warship shifted slightly, a subtle movement that suggested awareness of their observation, a gentle assertion of presence. Alara's gaze, calm yet piercing, seemed to reach across the void. She did not speak aloud, yet Xyler felt her thought clearly. "You see us. You understand some of what we are. But the true test has only just begun." The stars twinkled silently, indifferent to the meeting of minds unfolding in the void. Yet in the darkness, two species had begun a dialogue unlike any before, a silent, emotional exchange that would shape their understanding of each other and of themselves. The human warship pulsed once more, a heartbeat echoing through space. Xyler realized that this was more than reconnaissance, more than observation. It was the beginning of a relationship, fragile, dangerous, and beautiful in its own way. The Zithurians were learning not only about humans, but about courage, resilience, and the power of connection. And somewhere deep within the neural core of the human warship, a single thought echoed: "We have been seen. And now we see you." The void waited, silent and infinite, as two species began to understand one another. A dance had begun, a delicate, perilous, and luminous dance of shadows and stars. The void stretched endlessly, silent, black, and cold. Stars blinked distantly, indifferent witnesses to the unfolding drama between two species that had never met before. The human warship moved with calm authority, its black hull gleaming faintly in the starlight, carrying the weight of countless lives, countless memories, and the unyielding courage of humanity. Each pulse from its core was a heartbeat, each flicker of light a story etched into its metal and neural networks. Xyler hovered in his observation chamber, antennae quivering with anticipation. The connection with Captain Alara Kane had grown stronger than ever before. Through the ship's neural interface, he could sense her thoughts, her resolve, her unwavering courage. He could feel the pulse of the warship itself, the living chronicle of humanity's victories, losses, and enduring spirit. And now he realized they were not alone. A fleet of Zethurian vessels had arrived, drawn by Xyler's earlier reports. Unlike his smaller scouting ship, the fleet was massive, powerful, and calculated, a formidable force prepared to strike if necessary. But Xyler knew the truth. The humans were not merely survivors. They were unpredictable, terrifying, magnificent in ways that no weapon or strategy could fully measure. He turned to his crew. The fleet does not understand. They see only weapons, not the will that carries them. They do not see the heart, the courage, or the memories that guide her. If we act without care, we will provoke a force they cannot control. The humans, they are unlike anything. She could feel the tension in their minds, the hesitation, the fear, and the curiosity. Through the connection she had formed with Xyler, she sensed their leader, cautious, aware, intelligent, yet pulled by something deeper, something almost human. "They are watching," she murmured softly. "And they are afraid, but fear is not weakness. We can use this." Carefully, she shared stories of battles survived, losses endured, victories celebrated, and quiet moments of perseverance that had shaped the souls of her crew. Xyler felt each pulse deeply. The memories were vivid, overwhelming, yet beautiful. He could sense the courage behind each action, the weight of each decision, the human capacity to endure against impossible odds. And within the storm of emotion, he felt something he had never known, a bond forming, tenuous yet undeniable, between his mind and hers. "Sir," the junior scout whispered, awestruck, "they are showing us who they are, not as enemies but as beings with will, courage, and heart. We cannot fight this, not with weapons alone. This is not a battle of weapons. This is a test of understanding. We must act carefully. Their power lies not in destruction, but in endurance, connection, and courage. We endure, we fight, we protect. And if you are willing to understand, you will see the truth. We are more than metal and weapons. We are memory, courage, and heart." Humanity's strength was not in attack. It was in resilience, in unpredictability, in the capacity to endure and protect, to fight with heart as much as with strategy. "Fleet, stand down," Xyler commanded, his voice firm. "Do not fire. Observe, understand, and respect. This is not a fight to be won with weapons. It is a lesson in courage and connection." She sent another pulse of memory, carefully curated, acts of heroism, selflessness, and quiet bravery. And she allowed a trace of herself to reach through, the thoughts of a captain who had carried the weight of countless lives, yet refused to yield, refused to surrender. Xyler felt the pulse, and with it, a profound realization. Humanity's strength lay not only in individual acts, but in the shared will of countless minds connected through courage, memory, and determination. The warship was not simply a machine. It was a living chronicle, a testament to the resilience and spirit of a species that refused to be understood through logic alone. He transmitted his awareness back, subtle but clear. "We see you. We understand some of who you are, and we respect you." Alara felt the acknowledgement, the recognition, and allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible smile. The connection was fragile, but it was real. Across the void, human and alien had reached an understanding, one built on respect, courage, and the recognition of life beyond fear. Then, a ripple of energy passed through the fleet. One of the Zethurian commanders, impatient and cautious, had edged too close, testing the boundaries. The warship pulsed sharply, not with attack, but with warning. The memories of countless battles, losses, and sacrifices surged outward, a wave of emotion and will that left the testing commander stunned. Xyler immediately intervened. "Stand down," he commanded. "Do not provoke them. You do not understand what this is." She focused again on Xyler, on the one mind she had come to trust and understand. "You understand now," she said softly, her thoughts brushing across the void. "This is who we are. We endure and we protect. We are more than steel and fire. We are heart, memory, and courage." It was a force to respect, to learn from, to understand. And through Alara, he had glimpsed the depth of their strength, the unyielding spirit that carried them through every battle, every loss, every trial. The fleet slowly began to withdraw, leaving space for humanity to move forward. Xyler transmitted a final acknowledgement. "We see you. We respect you. We will carry this understanding forward." Inside the warship, Alara felt relief but also a quiet pride. She had not fired a single shot. She had not struck a single blow. Yet she had defended her crew, her ship, and humanity itself, not with weapons, but with courage, awareness, and connection. Xyler remained in his observation chamber, antennae quivering, absorbing the experience. He realized that the connection he had formed with Alara and the human vessel had changed him, changed his understanding of life, courage, and empathy. He had witnessed the essence of humanity, terrifying and magnificent, and had come to respect it deeply. And across the void, the human warship pulsed gently, carrying within it the memories, courage, and will of countless lives. The connection with Xyler lingered, a fragile, beautiful bridge between species that had begun to understand each other in a way that could change the future. Alara's eyes, calm and steady, scanned the distant stars. She knew that the encounter was only the beginning. The universe was vast, full of danger and mystery, but now she understood that connection, courage, and understanding could forge bonds stronger than fear, stronger than weapons, stronger than war. The void waited, infinite and silent, as two species stood apart yet connected, aware of one another in ways neither had fully anticipated. And somewhere deep within the warship's neural core, a single thought pulsed like a heartbeat. We endure, and we are not alone. The stars, cold and distant, seemed to shimmer a little brighter. A new chapter had begun for humanity, for the Zethurians, and for the fragile, luminous bond that now spanned the endless darkness of space. In that quiet moment, as the ships drifted apart, both human and alien realized the truth. Understanding could be more powerful than fear, connection more enduring than conflict, and courage could shine across the void, lighting even the darkest of spaces. And in the endless silence of space, the warship moved forward, carrying the hearts, memories, and courage of humanity, while somewhere in the distance, Xyler watched and remembered, forever changed by what he had seen, and by the bond that had formed across the stars.